There's a truth most men refuse to accept: constant presence kills attraction. You think you need to be actively giving attention, checking in, and making huge efforts to keep her interested. That's where you lose the game. The greatest power you have is not what you actively give her, but what you intentionally withhold. We're not talking about petty games or manipulation. We're talking about absence. When a man steps back, intentionally or not, a woman doesn't just move on. She feels something. She feels a gap. And that gap, that silence, speaks louder than any affectionate word you could ever say. Most men underestimate this because they fundamentally misunderstand female psychology. Women are emotional beings, and emotions thrive on mystery and pressure. When you are always there, you become the predictable floor beneath her feet. There is no pressure, no curiosity. But when your world and your presence are dictated by your purpose, your mission, your work, your goals, your absence becomes a natural reflection of your value. It's the highest form of respect for yourself. And that, paradoxically, is what earns her respect. Your absence is a natural test. It forces her to ask herself, does she value you, or does she just value your convenience? In this video, we're not teaching you how to play hide and seek. We're teaching you how to use your self-respect to create a psychological pressure that makes her invest, think, and desire you more. We'll break down the 7 deep psychological effects your absence creates, and why mastering this silence is the key to holding your emotional frame. Stay tuned, because the way you handle silence determines if you become a hard lesson or a permanent obsession in her mind. 1. The mind trap: how silence forces her to obsess. You might think that when you go quiet, her world stops spinning. That she'll immediately reach out, panicked. Sometimes that happens. But the deeper effect is something far more powerful. Her mind starts working overtime to keep you present. Most men assume that if they stop giving attention, they disappear. That's a fundamentally flawed view of female psychology. A woman's mind is rarely neutral. It craves context and certainty. When you're giving constant contact, you provide that context. There's no thinking required. You are a known, predictable quantity. But when you create a gap, when you are naturally busy, focused on your purpose, or simply not checking in, that gap becomes a void she must fill. And how does she fill it? With thoughts of you. Her brain starts cycling through scenarios. Did I say something wrong? Is he pulling back? Is he meeting someone new? She replays your last conversation, analyzing the tone of your final text. She checks your social media. She observes your online status, comparing your last active time with the last time you messaged her. The silence forces her into an internal spiral of overthinking. This isn't about getting her to miss you for a few minutes. It's about making her emotionally invest in the mystery of your absence. When she's thinking, she's investing. When you are constantly messaging, you are investing. And she is simply receiving. The decode your absence shifts the emotional labor onto her. You stop doing the work to chase and convince, and her mind starts doing the work to re-engage and secure your attention. She doesn't forget you when you go quiet. She obsesses over you because her brain demands clarity. And you're withholding the easy answer. Your action when you step away, step into your purpose. Don't be available to explain yourself. Let the silence breathe. This forces her to invest thought, which is the necessary prerequisite for deeper emotional investment. Don't chase to calm her anxiety. Let her anxiety about your whereabouts prove her desire for your presence. 2. The power of unanswered questions. The certainty killer: humans, especially women in romantic contexts, instinctively seek certainty. Certainty equals safety, stability, and control. When you are consistently available, she is certain of your feelings, your investment, and your future presence. This breeds comfort, but comfort is the enemy of desire. The moment you become genuinely, non-anxiously unavailable, you introduce a powerful, magnetic element: uncertainty. This uncertainty is the certainty killer. It doesn't mean she thinks you hate her. It means she no longer knows her standing with you. You've moved the goalposts. Why is this so magnetic? Because it activates her natural emotional drive to resolve the unknown. When a man is constantly professing his feelings, There's nothing for her to figure out. The mystery is dead. But when you are focused on your own path, giving her attention only when you genuinely have time and energy, you maintain a space for curiosity to thrive. She asks the critical questions. How much does he really like me? Will he call tomorrow? Is he seeing anyone else? Each unanswered question is a thread that keeps you strongly woven into her mental landscape. The decode certainty is boring. Uncertainty is a highly stimulating emotion that keeps her invested in discovering your true level of commitment. You control this dynamic by controlling the predictability of your presence. A high-value man is predictable in his values and purpose, but unpredictable in his availability, your action. Use absence as a tool to create polarity. You must be warm and engaging when present, but unapologetically distant when focused on your life's mission. Do not sacrifice your goals to provide her with constant reassurance. The moment you give up your purpose for her certainty, you trade her desire for her comfort. And that's a trade you will always regret. 3. Setting the standard. How you become the ruler. When you're consistently around, she has no frame of reference for your value. She can only judge you against her expectations. But when you are absent, when you are busy building, growing, and prioritizing your life, you force her to compare you to the men who are present. This is where the magic of comparison works entirely in your favor, if you've established a strong initial frame. The men who are present are usually the ones who are chasing, constantly texting, immediately available, trying too hard to impress. Their abundance of effort highlights their neediness and low self-respect. When you step away, and a chaser steps in to fill the gap, her mind doesn't just evaluate the new man, it instinctively measures him against the memory of your composure. She remembers how you held your ground, how you didn't over-explain, how you weren't frantic when she was unavailable. Then she looks at the man currently begging for her attention, and the contrast is stark. You become the standard without even being in the room. The decode absence functions as a magnetic filter. It screens out men who lack frame and highlights your quiet confidence. Your refusal to be easily available communicates value. Her mind doesn't simply miss you. It recognizes the difference in quality between the man with a mission and the man whose mission is her. Your action when absent, ensure your frame remains intact. Do not be provoked into rushing back or over-communicating. Let her experience the reality of other men's low-value behavior. The less you chase, the more clearly she sees your self-respect and the more elevated you become in her mental hierarchy. 4. The emotional pivot. Her confidence on trial. Women crave emotional safety, which often manifests as a desire for control and predictability. When a man is constantly chasing, he hands over his emotional frame, and she feels safe enough to push, test, and take him for granted. When you go quiet, you perform the emotional pivot. You shift the burden of emotional security from your shoulders to hers. Suddenly, she is the one facing uncertainty. This silence tests her confidence in two distinct ways. Confidence in you. She wonders if you still like her, if she read the signals wrong, or if you found someone better. Confidence in herself, the deepest cut. She starts questioning her own attractiveness and worth. Was I not enough to hold his attention? This internal self-questioning is crucial. It means she is no longer comfortable in the relationship. She is being forced to invest emotional energy into securing her position with you. The decode. The goal is to move the anxiety from, will she like me? Sa your boy mindset to, does he still want me? Sa her obsession. Your composure during this pivot is proof of your high value. When you don't panic, you signal that your world is stable, independent of her validation. Your action embrace your stability. When she eventually reaches out after a silence, do not jump to reassure her. Maintain a calm, measured, and warm tone, but never apologetic. Your response should communicate, I was busy, I'm glad to hear from you, but my focus is intact. This subtly reinforces that your life is the priority, and she is a valued addition, not the centerpiece. 5. The halo effect. Time erases flaws, amplifies strengths. Memory is not a video recording. It's an artist, and when given space, it tends to paint flattering portraits. This is the psychological principle of the halo effect working in your absence. When you are constantly present, she sees the small, imperfect details, your minor flaws, your bad habits, your occasional low moods. These can chip away at the initial attraction. But when you step away for a significant time, these mundane flaws fade. Her brain, seeking emotional completion, replays the highlights reel. The moments you made her laugh, the way you handled yourself in a moment of conflict, the feeling of excitement and polarity you initially generated. The memory romanticizes you. She's not remembering the guy who forgot to take out the trash. She's remembering the man who made her feel deeply desired and who had an unwavering sense of self. The decoding absence allows your idealized version to solidify in her mind. This is why many women return to men they broke up with months or years later. They are returning to the romanticized ghost of the man, not the imperfect reality they left behind. Your job is to make sure your initial presence left a strong, high frame impression worth romanticizing. Your action quality over quantity. Make your periods of presence memorable, confident, and fun. Then, allow your absence to do the heavy lifting of idealization. Resist the urge to stay present just to avoid conflict. Conflict and distance are necessary for memory to process and amplify your attractive qualities. 6. The true test of frame. Absence as a lifestyle. This is the most crucial distinction that separates the high-value man from the low-value boy. A boy uses absence as a tactic. He ignores texts, watches the clock, and anxiously waits for her reaction. His silence is driven by the fear of losing her. A man uses absence as a natural reflection of his life. His silence isn't a strategy. It's a byproduct of his purpose, goals, and unwavering self-respect. He is genuinely busy building his empire, pursuing mastery, or developing his mind. His absence is a sign that his world does not revolve around her validation. When a woman observes a man who is calmly focused on his mission, his absence communicates two powerful things. He has boundaries. He won't sacrifice his goals for emotional reassurance. He is secure his value is generated internally, not externally by her presence. The decode your frame isn't what you say. It's what you do when she's not around. If she knows you are sitting home waiting for her text, your absence screams weakness. If she knows you are traveling for work, closing a deal, or working out, your absence screams strength and commitment. This commitment to a purpose is what women truly admire and follow. Your action builds a life worth withdrawing into. The effectiveness of your absence is directly proportional to the quality of your purpose. The more genuinely dedicated you are to your mission, the more magnetic your periods of distance will become. Never apologize for being a man who prioritizes his future. 7. The art of non-reaction. Commanding respect with composure. Silence is the ultimate expression of composure and frame. Most men are trained to rush in and fill any silence, to apologize, explain, or justify their actions and emotions. They fear the vacuum of silence because they fear being misunderstood or losing approval. When a woman challenges you, tests your boundaries, or questions your choices, a man who immediately reacts, defends, or over-explains loses his power. He has sacrificed his self-control for her emotional comfort. The man with frame, however, uses non-reaction as a powerful communication tool. His silence in the face of her challenge says, "I don't need to convince you of my reality. My actions stand on their own." This calm, measured restraint forces her to sit with her own emotional turbulence. She is forced to question her initial reaction and respect the man who refused to be emotionally hijacked. The decode silence in a confrontation or a test is dominance. It's not the dominance of aggression, but the dominance of self-mastery. It communicates that your value and your decisions are final and not subject to her emotional review. This is the leadership women subconsciously seek in a man. Your action when tested, pause. Do not over-explain. Respond succinctly and only when necessary. Let your actions set your boundaries. When she complains about your time away, a simple, firm statement like, "I understand how you feel, but that's what I needed to do," followed by a comfortable silence, reinforces your control. She doesn't fall for the man who says yes to everything. She falls for the man who can say no without losing his calm. You've seen the 7 psychological effects that silence creates. Now you understand the core lesson: your emotional power is measured by the quality of your absence. The men who chase validation, the boys, panic when a woman pulls back, sacrificing their goals for her reassurance. Their absence is fearful and manipulative. But the men, the ones who lead, use absence as a natural reflection of their higher purpose. Their silence is calm, confident, and deeply respectful of their own boundaries. Stop thinking of this as a relationship tactic. This is a life strategy. When you commit to your mission, your goals, and your personal development, your focus becomes internal. You stop giving her control over your emotional state. This commitment is the magnetic force that compels her to invest and chase. The moment she realizes your world does not revolve around her, she realizes you are a man worth securing. Attraction cannot be demanded. It must be earned through self-respect. So, don't focus on chasing her presence. Focus on building a life she can't resist chasing. Let your silence be a testament to your strength. Let your purpose be the frame she must step into. That is how you break the cycle of neediness and reclaim your masculine power. If you are ready to apply these principles and commit to becoming the man who holds the frame, hit subscribe and share this video. Drop a comment below and tell me, what area of your life will you prioritize to strengthen your absence? The truth is, she respects what she cannot control. Control your world, and you control the relationship.